Hi, I'm Nupur Kodasthane. I'm a staff engineer at MarkLogic, and today I'm going to be showing you a demo of how you can use MarkLogic extension for Visual Studio Code to debug a custom step in Data Hub framework. Let's jump right into our demo. For the purpose of this demo, I have created a Data Hub project and deployed into my MarkLogic instance already. I've got a flow here that has two steps, an ingestion step and a custom mapping step. The ingestion step that I'm calling load home ingests data from CSV data source into MarkLogic. This CSV data source has data of customers of home insurance policy at Sunrise Insurance Company. And I have downloaded this CSV data source from Data Hub Quick Start tutorial I've linked in the description below. Now I have already run this ingestion step before I started the demo, so I have already got the data ingested into MarkLogic. The next step is the custom mapping step. I'm going to use this step to map and transform my data so that it matches my entity model and is more standardized for consumption. Before we run the custom mapping step, let's browse our data and see what our source data looks like. So, browsing the load home collection in the staging database, opening one of the documents here, we can see that in the instance object, we've got ID, first name, last name, email, and all this information about the customers. Okay, that looks all right. Now let's go look at our custom mapping module that our custom mapping step is going to use. This is the custom mapping module. Let's look at the part that actually transforms and maps our data. Instance is the source data object here. What I want to do is add a customer object to my instance that has all these properties: ID, given name, surname, full PIN, short PIN, etc. All these properties will get their values from the source data with some processing done on them. Additionally, I'm adding this location object to my customer object. As we can see, the location object, I'm already adding a postal code property which will get its value from instance.zip. I'm also calling this update state function in a helper module that is going to perform an operation on this location object. Let's go look at the helper module and see what it does. It has the update state function, and all it does is it calculates this state based on the zip code in the location object. And finally adds the state property to the location object. This is a simple function that has the switch case, which is going to look at the zip code and calculate the state based on it. It's a simple mapping module, so I'm going to go ahead and run it. I'm going to use this Gradle task to run my custom mapping step. So we can see the Gradle task is successful, and so that should have loaded some data into our final database in the MarkLogic instance. Going back to browsing data, should look at the final database, customer collection, and we have some data here. Opening one of the documents, we've got the instance here, and we've got the customer object as we had planned. It had some properties: ID, given name, surname, so on. It's got the location object, but there seems to be some problem here. The postal code is set to 0 and the state is unknown. I'm going to go back and see if my other documents also have the same problem. This one has it too, and this one has it too. So looks like there is some problem with my custom mapping module. I'm going to go back to my module. Alright, so this is my module, and now I plan to debug it with our MarkLogic extension. The MarkLogic extension has already been installed into my Visual Studio Code editor. So the first thing that I'm going to do is show you my launch.json. Launch.json has the debug configurations that I need. Here in this file, I have added my launch and attached debug configurations. For more information on how to configure your launch and attach modes, see the README linked in the description below. As of now, I've already got my debug configuration set up, so I'm going to go ahead and start debugging. Going back to my main module, and the first thing that I want to do is connect my app server to the debugger. So I'm going to open the command palette and I'm going to select the command connect JavaScript debug server. It asks me to enter the name of the server that I want to connect. Now I know that my custom mapping step is going to be run against the Data Hub staging app server. So I'm going to enter the name right here. Hit return. And it says my debug server is connected. So the next thing that I plan to do is go ahead and start my Gradle task once again. That has started my Gradle task. So I'm going to go back and set a breakpoint right here so that my request stops here and I can debug it. Going to the debug panel here, and I'm going to select attach to debug request. So you can see it gives me a list of requests that are currently paused in the app server. I'm going to select this request and hit continue. You can see in the debug console that it says that the request has already ended. That's probably because the initial request that was sent against the app server was a pre-processing step before it actually runs the custom mapping module. So I'm going to hit attach to debug request once again, and I see that there is another request waiting here. I'm going to select this request and hit continue once again. I see that my request has been paused here at the breakpoint that I had set up earlier. And on the left side in the panel, I see all the variables that are in this scope currently. I see my instance object. Let me expand it so we can see what it looks like. We see all the properties of the instance object. Now let's just start stepping over so that we can see the properties change and the instance object change as we go. So stepping over, I see the customer object here. No properties in it yet. Stepping over further, I see the ID, given name, surname. Each step we are adding all these properties. Stepping over further, see the location object being added here. There is a postal code property as well. I'm going to step into the helper function now. Clicking stepping in, and I'm in this helper function. Expanding the location object once again. So far the postal code looks all right. There's no problem with it. Stepping into this sanity function again. This seems to be the bug that's causing us problem. I'm checking the type of location.postal code here, and if it's not number, then I just set postal code to 0. Let's add a watch here and see actually what the type of location.postal code is. String. That's definitely not a match. So let's step over a little more and see what happens. We saw postal code changing to 0, and that's our bug. Stepping over further. And I think we know what's going to happen here. We've gone directly to the default case. State has been set to unknown now. Set the location, set the state property to unknown. Coming back to main module, and I know what happens from here onwards. And we've found the bug. So let's just remove our breakpoint and hit continue so our request completes. And the request has ended. So let's just for a moment disconnect our app server from the debugger so we can make changes to our module and fix it. Opening the command palette again, selecting the disconnect command and disconnecting the server that we connected earlier. Server disconnected. So let's go back to our helper module and change it. We don't want to set it to 0, but instead we want to change the type to number and not return. Save this module, and now with the command ml load modules, I'm going to make sure that my changed module is loaded into the database for the next use. Running ml load modules. That succeeded. So let's run our custom mapping step one more time. And see if it has made any difference. Coming back here to our Data Hub Quick Start portal, browsing the data one more time, switching the database to final, looking at the customer collection, opening one of the documents, and we've fixed our code. The location object looks all right now. The postal code is 83701 with the state Idaho. So that was my short demo on how we used MarkLogic extension for Visual Studio Code to debug our custom mapping step. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it.